Hey friends. I I'm back at home after a quick weekend getaway up to Santa Fe. And something's been showing up around the experience of joy and what how I personally kind of approach that, I guess. Because I've said this, I think, on some previous posts. There's a level of seriousness with which I approach much of my life, and it creates a kind of a sense of almost like being blasted out of a rocket, or like I'm the tip of a spear and I'm somehow taking a lot of wind resistance. And it's really interesting to reflect on this in light of all of the reading I've done recently and a long time ago, and the practice, the way in which my practice continues to evolve, my personal practice, my spiritual practice, my meditation practice. Because we all want to experience joy, but Sadhguru says something really, really interesting towards the end of his book, which I know I've been going on about him recently, but he's fresh in my mind because I've been doing a lot of reading of his recently. And somewhere towards the end of his book, he says, yogis are not against pleasure. We're just not satisfied with small pleasures. And it's basically a way of saying the kind of deeply committed and disciplined approach to life that a yogi takes is not based on some belief that this type of living or this level of devotion is somehow morally superior. It's a science of growth. It's a science of evolution, of spiritual evolution. And pleasure, beautiful experiences, are at the heart of that. They're why we exist in many ways. We are these little micropods of the universe bearing witness to itself and being amazed, having the experience of being the Big Bang. The Big Bang doesn't experience itself except through highly evolved subjective consciousness. That's who gets to be. That's who has the front row seat to the greatest show on earth, to the ongoing evolution of the cosmos. That's us, because we have that capacity. We have that conscious capacity. So the notion that somehow, I don't know, going on a fast or deciding to become celibate or becoming vegetarian or doing yoga every day for 4 hours or whatever, that any of those sort of very, in the broad scheme of things, tiny steps is somehow a foundation for a kind of betterness is totally null and void. It's completely, that's total, that is to completely miss the point of the practice. And really, what is at the heart of the practice is experiencing that joy that we experience when we truly are the universe bearing witness to itself and going, holy shit, this is amazing. Having that, whether it's literally looking out at the stars and seeing, probing into the vast reaches of space with our human technology, or whether that's something that happens in the personal, like I've had experiences in my teaching where I'm working with someone and it's like a bolt of energy just comes shooting down, and now I'm in it. Now I'm speaking as this force, this cosmic energy. It's the most exhilarating thing you could possibly experience. It's mind-blowingly joyful. And I also know, that these moments when I begin to kind of crave pleasure in the sense of something that makes me feel good, something that makes me, Robin, my physical body or my emotions or whatever, my mind, feel good right now. It's basically like I need some soothing. Really, there's a level of intensity of energy and a level of intensity of experience where I don't need that. I don't need to be soothed. I don't need to be, because being soothed is kind of like saying, soothing is always in response to a compulsive pattern. There's a level of, there's something that wants to complete itself, so we give it the thing it needs. And in a lot of ways, we want to have a healthy understanding of how that works, and we want to have a healthy ability to manage our own cycles, our own compulsions. Even our own compulsions, we're not strictly trying to banish them. If we just go to war with every compulsion we have, we'll expire of any kind of capacity for growth very quickly, because we'll burn up a ton of energy just fighting the momentum of our current set of compulsive behaviors. And we always have them. My heart keeps beating. That's a compulsive behavior. It's not conscious, but my heart knows what to do. That's how I sometimes have to remember, when we talk about compulsive behavior in the mind, compulsive behavior in our engagement with the world, which is another way of saying karma. If you take the kind of yogic perspective and take that vocabulary, compulsion is karma. And when we are addressing it in the form of a pattern that we want to break, then we usually say, well, compulsion is the issue we're trying to solve. Compulsion is the problem. Compulsion is something we're trying to grow beyond. But on the level of, I have a physical body and it keeps going on its own, that's a level of such sophisticated, automated technology that's happening. There's a machine here that's sophisticated enough to be inhabited by a conscious awareness. That's kind of crazy. That's kind of amazing. And when I remember my own compulsions that I, as a kind of like me, Robin Holloway, I'm trying to work with, that they're actually just the next level of those biological, what we might call biological conditioning. That helps me have empathy, or helps me give myself a little grace, and maybe maybe not fight one of my cycles, one of my compulsive reachings. Maybe not fight every one of them. I think you read enough. The more I ingest what the big teachers had to say, the more it becomes clear that we really are that really is the frontier. How conscious can we be? But we also have to know, if we're training for a marathon, we don't go out and run the marathon on day one. We train for the marathon. There's a practice. There's a technology. There's a sequencing of things. And I think as I find myself at a particular moment when I feel kind of exhausted, and when I get exhausted, I notice myself craving. I just eat more sugar when I'm tired, straight up. When my body gets tired, I crave more sugar. And I don't know if it's because the tiredness makes me want sugar more, makes my biology want sugar more, or whether it's because when I get tired, my natural ability to kind of keep that urge at bay diminishes, or some combination. I don't know, but there's, as I find myself in a moment like that, and as I know where we're trying to go, it's important to remember that it doesn't all happen at once. We got to get the rest we need. We got to get up and try again tomorrow. So yeah, that's where I've landed at the end of this weekend. Thanks for watching, folks. I appreciate you. Much love. See you tomorrow.